celebrating 170 years of Catholic churches in Mount Gambier, 1855 to 2025. From Slab Hut to St Paul's. In 1855, the first Catholic church was built in Mount Gambier. It was a thatched, canvas-lined slab hut located opposite the old courthouse on Bay Road. Simply known as the log hut, it was a very basic building, but an important gathering space for visiting priests from Victoria or Adelaide to celebrate Mass and administer the sacraments to the local congregation. The hut timber was donated by the Sutton family. The land was donated by Mr. Hastings Cunningham, the founder of Mount Gambier, on land opposite the current police station. He was an Anglican, but was married to Jane Hastings, who was a Catholic. No images exist of this original building, but it was well known that wombats were frequent visitors and often caused havoc with the glass vases and other decorations in the church. The second church, St Teresa's, 1861 to 1885. From 1857, Father Julian Tennyson Woods, dedicated priest, explorer, academic, prodigious scientist, and visionary educator, initiated the building of the Second Catholic Church, which he opened on the 24th of February, 1861. The land for St Teresa's was purchased from the estate of Mr. Charles Hayes and comprised 3 allotments situated on the corner of Crouch and Sturt Streets, formerly known as Alfred Street. It cost £445 15 shillings to build and was 55 feet long and 20 feet wide. Many deemed it a work of beauty. By 1869, only 8 years after it had been built, it was already becoming too small to accommodate the growing Catholic community. However, it was used as a church until 1885 and closed as soon as St Paul's was built. The church also housed the Mount Gambier Grammar School. It was demolished in 1915. The 3 allotments purchased on Crouch Street enabled the building of the first presbytery for the priests in Mount Gambier. In this image from 1908, we see the deanery on Crouch Street, and in the photo, we see Dean Ryan, Father Horrigan, Mrs. J. M. Jens, and Miss Ryan. The current Catholic deanery, where the priests reside, was based on plans drawn by Thomas Hall, providing 11 main large rooms with 13-foot-high ceilings, including a library, reception room, a parlour, and a dining room. There were also to be servants' rooms, kitchen and pantries with a cellar, a bathroom and storage rooms, which had 11-foot ceilings. The deanery is located behind the church facing Alexander Street and was completed in 1901 when the church was free of building debt. The clergy at St Paul's, 1853 to 1946. The following is an excerpt taken from an article of the Border Watch on Thursday the 5th of December 1946. The second clergyman of any religious denomination to arrive at Mount Gambier was Father Ryan. He came from Penola about 1853 and established his headquarters at Dismal Swamp, owned by the late Anthony Sutton. In 1857, Father J. E. Tennyson Woods had charge of the Roman Catholic congregations of the South East, and his writings are still used as an authority on the varied phenomena of the district. The first Roman Catholic church was a log hut on a piece of land opposite the present police station. The site was presented by Mr. Hastings Cunningham, an Anglican who was married to a Catholic wife. In 1861, a new edifice, known as St. Teresa's, was erected at the corner of Crouch and Sturt Streets. St. Paul's Church of today was built and dedicated in 1885. Dean Fitzgibbon had charge of the parish in 1861 and was followed by Dean Murphy, a very popular priest. In 1883, Dean Michael Joseph Ryan was transferred to Mount Gambier, and for 39 years he laboured unceasingly for the church. By his efforts, the fine and ornate buildings, church, convent, school hall and presbytery were erected, and stand as a testimony to his foresight and perseverance. In 1917, Dean Ryan received from His Holiness the Pope the titular distinction of Monsignor. Succeeding priests to the Mount Gambier Church were the Very Reverend Father J. D. Murphy, the Very Reverend Father J. P. Davis, and Dean Fay, who was in charge at the present time. The architectural features of St. Paul's Catholic Church. This impressive church at 26 Penola Road features a majestic bell tower adorned with crenellations and is built with local Mount Gambier stone. It was originally opened in 1885 with the rear extensions completed in 1965. The architect was Michael McMullen from Adelaide. The design combines both Gothic revival and Italianate architecture with its tall narrow windows, steep roof and closed entrance or portico supported by columns. The bells came from Dublin. The impressive limestone gates were donated in 1926 and the current boundary fence was added in 1936. Mr. Sutton advanced an interest-free loan of £1,200 to enable the 8.5 acres of land on Penola Road, encompassing the future church, convent and school, to be purchased in 1869, and the deed was transferred to Fathers Wood, Horan and Murphy on the 20th of November 1871. The list of donors is recorded in the church archives, and by 1901 the building was completely paid off, allowing for the additions of the deanery and later the convent and school to be built on the site. Only 2 weeks after construction started on the original St. Paul's building, the contractor resigned, the foundation stone and the foundation stone Paul the Apostle was completed by day Sunday, work, casual the 10th of March 1884. The following is an excerpt from the Border Watch, published the 13th of March 1884. Quote, "On Sunday afternoon last, the Right Reverend Dr. Reynolds, Roman Catholic Bishop of South Australia, performed the ceremony of blessing and laying the foundation stone of the new church of St. Paul the Apostle, Penola Street. The new building, after the contractor, through a disagreement with the clerk of works, Mr. McMullen Jr., gave up the work, was carried on as far as the top of the foundations by day work, and tenders are now called for its completion. The foundation stone is situated at the northeastern corner of the nave. It is a large block of grey dolomite, neatly cut, and bears on its face in gold lettering the words IHS, Sancti Paulae Apostolae, Ora Pro Nobis, Anno Domini 1884. St. Paul's was formally opened on Sunday the 19th of April 1885 by the Very Reverend Dr. Reynolds, Bishop of Adelaide, at 11 a.m. This photo shows a front view from the picket fence and gateway along the pathway with a post and rail fence and shrubs either side of it. There are grass and trees visible on either side, with a fence and buildings just visible on the right-hand side. The arched doorway is visible, with the set of 3 arched windows visible above it, with a small round window near the apex and a finial at the apex of the roof of the main building. There are stepped buttresses either side of the windows. On the right side of the gabled section is a tower with a set of 2 arched windows, a round window, and 2 arched windows above each other with a parapet at the roof line. There are light-coloured coinings around the windows, doorway, and on the corners of the stepped buttresses. Assessment of the heritage value. The following is taken from Heritage SA. Quote, "This church was dedicated in 1885, and the design of the building was by Michael McMullen, a notable Adelaide architect. It sits at the centre of a complex of church buildings including the convent, school hall, and the church gate and wall on Penola Road. It is a solid Gothic construction with a square crenellated tower constructed of pink dolomite with grey limestone plinth and dressings. The buttresses are stepped and the fascia is embellished with various forms of carved limestone motifs. There is a later rough-faced dolomite extension on the north side, which does not form part of this listing. It is assumed that the square tower would have had a spire as part of its original design. There is also a significant pair of church entrance gates off Penola Road constructed in limestone, which mark the access for the entrance of the church. St. Paul's Catholic Church is a registered place on the Register of the National Estate. Constructed in 1884 to 1885, St. Paul's Roman Catholic Church, designed by Michael McMullen, architect of Adelaide, is representative of the growth of the Roman Catholic community within Mount Gambier and the surrounding district. It is a major landmark within the city and is the centre of a major group of buildings associated with the Catholic Church. It forms part of a significant group of state heritage registered buildings at this point on the rise of Penola Road. St. Paul's Roman Catholic Church and Convent of Mercy are indicative of the relative importance of the Catholic Church in the southeast of South Australia during the 1870s and 1880s. It is an outstanding representative of a particular class of places of cultural significance. As part of the Catholic Church complex, the church and convent contribute to a unique group of religious buildings in a religious landscape. This is just a selection of the research done by Pam Ronan, as part of our 140th anniversary celebrations. Much more information has been gathered about the architectural features of St Paul's, especially its stained glass windows. In addition, further research is being collated about the renovation of the church in 1966. Pam was assisted by the personal memories and historical archives of Joan Hardiman, Peter and Monica Braithwaite, Lawrence Kennedy, Eric Roughana, Judy Summers, Brian O'Connor, Mary Camilleri, Cisca Teodoro, and the work done by the St Paul's Centenary Committee in 1985. Most importantly, though, the history of St Paul's continues to unfold under God's grace. May our church welcome all to the praise of our Lord Jesus Christ.